I always say that you can never discipline a child that you didn't bond with.
Ooh, please say that again.
You can't. You need to bond first with a child before you discipline. As far as my stepkids are concerned, I don't know their background.
Sure.
So how do I discipline a child whom I don't know?
Yeah.
Who doesn't know me, So I started off by establishing a relationship with them, a mother and a child relationship.
Sure.
I got to knew what they love. I got to knew what they don't love. Validate your feelings, man, as a stepmom. Because we don't validate our feelings.
Yeah.
The society has wanted us, to be superheroes.
Yeah.
The society has enforced on us to be present.
Yeah.
But I always say heal first before over present. Be yourself first before you can actually take on a role of being a stepmother. For me, it was a choice. It was not forced. Coexisting with your child does not mean that you are involved in their lives. And I don't believe a person is like this.
Yeah.
It's always like this. We need to let them be like this.
Yeah.
I believe in empowerment.
Yeah. And change.
Yeah. I believe so much in empowerment and information sharing.
Yeah.
Because if we don't empower you with the right tools as a parent, as a mom or as a father, your behavior now is going to affect us, in ways that we didn't plan.
Tsholofelo, welcome to Bond and Blend with Maletswalo, a show that presents both challenges and joys of blended family lives. I am your host, Maletswalo Banari. Tell me, what is blended family without wisdom? Or not then, what is wisdom in a blended family? No one knows, but it's all people's testimonies that we learn the wisdom they have and how they're surviving in their blended family lives. Today's episode, we'll be talking with one of the special people in my life. She will be sharing her journey in her own blended family life. Do not be confused. Blended family is not one size fit all, guys. What works for me might not work for you, and what works for you might not work for me. But be open-minded to learn at all times. Makgele, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
For making the time to sit and share your journey with us. It's not comfortable to share a blended family setup because it involves a lot of people in it, and we might be ashamed of certain things. What will the society say? But Kelebora, thank you so much for agreeing to sit on that beautiful chair to share your wisdom with us.
Thank you for having me.
What's your favorite music?
Soul and R&B. Yes.
Just to make it clear, her name is Tsholofelo and I'm also Tsholofelo, but you guys know me as Maletswalo in most cases. So now and again, Hakere Tsholofelo, those that knows me as Tsholofelo, she is also Tsholofelo. Your favorite song, Gingi?
It's Jahim, Everywhere I Am. That's my favorite song. I've always been an old school.
Okay.
An old soul, actually.
Yeah, I remember back in the days.
Yeah.
When you're saying Utifina Lerato, what is love?
I always define love based on what the Bible tells us about love. Remember the Bible tells us that, love has no multitude of sins. I mean, it covers, multitude of sins. So loving a person comes with having to accept, a person for who they are.
Yeah.
So having to accept a person for who they are, that is you covering them.
Yeah.
That is you covering their flaws. That is you accepting their weaknesses.
Yeah.
So for me, that is love.
God or culture?
God.
Why?
Because God loves us in such a way, that is so unique.
Yeah.
God loves us unconditionally. God created us,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and we are an image of God.
Of course.
So culture changes,
Oh, yeah.
but God remains the same.
Oh, that's true.
Yes.
Then what's your definition of family?
So I always define family with the way I was raised,
Yeah.
or with pertaining the type of family setup that I come from.
Yeah.
So for me, a family should consist of the people that we look up to, which is our parents.
Sure.
Our parents come up with structures for us to live by. A family for me should consist of siblings, the people that you relate to, as your peers, as your support system, as your confidence, and family also involves the different types of relations that you make outside of your own family setup, or the type of relations that you form outside of being blood related.
Sure.
So it can be your friends, it can be your aunts from work. It can be anyone that that they are on speed dial whenever that you need them. So for me, that is a family.
Yeah. So then, how are you blended? How is your family set up? Like, how many kids do you have?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I have one boy with my husband, and then biologically.
Okay.
And my husband has 2 boys outside of our marriage.
Okay.
So in total, we have 3 boys.
It's quite a big family.
Yeah.
It's only boys.
Yeah, it's only boys. I thank God for that, because I always wanted to have boy children. I always related more with
That's
boys.
beautiful. And when you're saying you always wanted boy kids, you're taking me back to God will always grant you what you want. So be careful of what you want, and you must be intentional about what you want. Eventually, He gives you exactly what
that is so
true. What you want. Take me back into your childhood life.
Okay, so I was raised by 2 parents. I actually come from a nuclear family.
Oh, okay.
So I was raised by both a mom and a dad. I have 3 siblings.
Sure.
I am a second born from 3 siblings. What else do you want to know about my childhood? Maybe just be specific so that I can maybe answer in a more specific way.
Growing up, the family setup, where you come from, was your father being hands-on, your mother? How was that back in the days where you would go to school, come back, maybe you find your mom cooking or your dad cooking?
So as I've said, Khore, I am raised by 2 parents.
Yeah.
So with the setup of, the type of family that I come from, it was not defined gender roles, especially as far as my parents are involved.
Okay.
So I don't come from a family where a woman, is subjected to doing certain things, and they are not subjected into doing certain things. A man is, a man, and they need to do certain things. And then they are not doing certain things. So I was raised by a father who cooks. I was raised by a dad who does house chores. I was raised by a dad who's active, who has always been actively involved in our lives. I am raised by a mom who's very principled, who's very value driven, who's a woman. She can do woman things, but she was never subjected. In a sense, there are certain things that she can't practice or do because she's a woman. So that is the type of family setup that I come from.
So in terms of favoritisms as siblings, because oftentimes when we grow up, you find there's daddy's favorite, there's mommy's favorite, and there's this one over some cousin all the time, like she or he gets away with things. Have you ever experienced such things, or were you the favorite one?
I think my parents loved us individually.
Oh,
even nice. Though I think I don't think my siblings thought I was the favorite, but I was the favorite when it came to my granddad and my uncle. But as far as my parents are concerned, they loved us individually. You know, they even when it came to discipline, they disciplined based on our personalities and based on our characters. You know, as far as reinforcement is involved, you know, concerning our life decisions, concerning our dreams, concerning, you know, anything else, it has always been an individual thing. You know, they never. The love was the same, you know, but as far as enforcing things, it was different, you know. In a sense, they knew my older sister is like this, Tsholofelo is like this, my younger brother is like this, and my younger sister is like this, you know. But the love was always the same. So hence, my siblings and I, you would never have found ourselves having to fight for our space in our parents, you know. You know, I said to you earlier on, Hore, I am the favorite as far as my grandfather and my uncle is involved. But also it has never been an issue. You know, it has never been an issue because even with them, they loved us the same. It's just having that soft spot maybe for me. But the love and the support has always been the same. What my grandfather does for me, he always does for my sibling. You know, what my uncle does for me, he always do for my sibling. So that's the type of environment that I come from.
Sure. I love it when you say individually, because most of the time parents to date we still struggling with loving our kids individually. We want to push for the same, we want to push for equality in a way that my mother will show love for me. It's not the exact way that my brother will receive the love. So it's important to pay attention as parents. How does this child wants to be loved? When they say they're feeling loved, it's when what happened, and it cannot be the same as others. Even discipline, form of discipline, the other child, it works. So it's important to pay full attention as you parenting those beautiful babies.
No, that's true.
So tell me, how did you meet your spouse?
So I met my husband when I was very, very, very young. You know, when you are in puberty and you start, you know, to identify yourself as, you know, as Eldanyana, you know. So I met my husband, I think I was around 15 or 16. So we started dating then, but it was not a serious relationship because there's no way a 16-year-old can enter into a serious or committed relationship because you at that time we don't even understand what a relationship is. We understand we want to experiment, you know. So that's how we met. And I've known my husband for 17 years. So we separated because of growth. You know, I feel like he had different, I don't know how to put it. I think he wanted to lead his life in a different way. And he wanted to head his life into a different direction. And I also wanted to, you know, head my life into a different direction, you know. But our separation was not mutual. It was not nice, you know, because there was just a whole lot of, you know, traumatic things that had happened between us, you know. And we were our worst enemies. And at that time, we hated, he was my enemy at the time, based on how we broke up. And I feel maybe Liane, he felt the same. You know, we then reconnected in later 2017, if I'm not mistaken. And then we got married in 2023 on the 4th of March. So our separation was a very long separation. I think we separated for over 7 years. And then we then reconnected and, you know, had a committed relationship.
It is when I ask you, how did you meet your partner, and she smiles, then you can tell something is done right. Where there is love, you can't hide. where there's love you can't hide. I clearly saw it on your face, or there is intentional love between those two people. So your husband, you said earlier, Hore, he came with two kids. So when he came with 2 kids, how did your family take it?
I think they took it well. I think based on the fact that when my mother got married to my dad, my mom came with my sister into the marriage. So my mom and my dad always tells me that when they met, my big sister was I think 7 or 8 years, you know. So having to have kids outside of, you know, your current relationship was really not a negative factor for my family, you know, and having to being raised, you know, from a family that loves children, it was never an issue, you know. It was never something, you know, it's wrong. You know, why does this guy have 2 kids? You know, and why would you want to be in a relationship with a guy who has 2 kids? So for my family, it was never an issue. Honestly, it was not even something that we had to sit down for and discuss. The only time we discussed it was when my mom was saying to me, Hore, you said you love this guy, you know, and having to love this guy, do you love his kids? Because if you can't decide now that you are going to love his kids, then I mean your relationship is not going to go anywhere. So that's the only discussion that I had with my mom.
I'm glad you have raised the part where you're saying your sister is not biologically related to your father. Growing up, have you ever noticed, Horeman, this is not my father's daughter, or the way your father treated her? Was it the same way, the way he was treating every child in the house, or moment off?
I know. You know, I actually found out that my sister is not my dad's child biologically when I was older, you know. And I don't even remember how I found out. But it was not I don't know how to explain it, but my big sister is my dad's child. It has always been that way. You know, so having to be in spaces where now we need to explain, you know, even people don't understand because we've always been perceived the same. We've always been treated the same. You know, so I can't even say she's not biologically related to my dad. You know?
I sued because
it does not suit, you know, because she also uses my dad's surname.
Oh, that's
so
beautiful.
We use the Monahing surname. All of us use the Monahing surname, you know. So if my dad did not love her, or if my dad did not, you know, accept her, I don't think he would have agreed, you know, to giving her his surname. So my dad has 4 kids, and it has always been that way.
No, big up to Papa. I'm asking this because I know most men struggle with the kids that woman comes with in marriage, and they make it not intentionally so, but they make it visible. This is not my child. I'm glad that you did not notice as siblings, and meaning if you did not notice, no one else outside could have noticed that the big sister is not the biological child.
That's true. So, and I'm so sorry to cut you. And you know, that is why it is so important, you know, to know who you are marrying, you know, and it is also so important to know, you know, the upbringings that we come from as couples. You know, my dad always said to me, Hore, he feels he has made a lot of mistakes, you know, in raising our sister. Because remember, at that time, it was only him, you know, as a father and her as a daughter, you know. So he always says that, I have made a whole lot of mistakes, you know, when it came to your sister,
Yeah.
you know. But when you guys came, you know, I became a better parent,
Sure.
you know, based on the mistakes that I did with your sister.
True.
You know, so him having to reflect, you know, on the mistakes, you know, on, you know, maybe the parenting, you know, that is flawed.
Yeah.
For me, it really shows me that he really loved her, or still does love her, because it has always been the same, man. The love has always been the same.
That's beautiful, and big up to Papa. I know he will be watching this. Big up to you, Dad. It's not all of the dads that are willing to do that, and you saying he made a lot of mistake. I think it comes with every parent on our first children. We don't know what we're doing. We're just clueless. And we will see and understand parenting when the second one is born. We do better when the second one is born. So take me into your own blended family. How do you deal with discipline?
I always say that you can never discipline a child that you didn't bond with.
Ooh, please say that again.
You can't. You need to bond first with a child before you discipline. Because remember that I know Kanya.
Yeah.
You know, Kanya is my child.
Yeah.
You know, I gave birth, you know, to him. You know, I know his weaknesses.
Yeah.
I know his strengths. I know what he loves. I've always been, you know, exposed to his fears, his traumas. But as far as my stepkids are concerned, you know, I don't know their background.
Sure.
So how do I discipline a child whom I don't know?
Yeah.
Who doesn't know me, you know? So I started off by establishing a relationship with them, you know, a mother and a child relationship.
Sure.
I got to knew what they love. I got to knew what they don't love.
Yeah.
I got to know the type of households that they come from, the type of relationship that they share with their mothers, the type of relationship that they share with their extended families. You know, even the parenting itself, you know, from, you know, where they come from.
Yeah.
And it is also important, even for me, it was important for me, for them to know the type of person that I am.
Yeah.
You know.
First, before you discipline.
The things that I like, the things that I dislike, you know, the discipline, you know, model that I use.
Yeah.
You know, what makes me happy, you know, what doesn't make me happy. So in that way, when you discipline, they will know that it comes from a place of love or from a place of hate.
Yeah.
Because remember, Lazibana.
Yeah.
You know, my stepson, the elder one, he always says that he refers to me as Ostulu.
Yeah.
He always says that, you know, Ostulu, hasa to aibak.
Yeah.
And you can never change Ostulu's mind.
Ooh,
He knows me. You know, he always says that all the time. Ostulu asabatlento ha ebad. You know.
Sure.
And even when I reprimand him, my son knows that it comes from
a place of love.
A place of love.
Yeah.
You know. And I get to see that from the decisions that he makes. My son will never do something that I don't co-sign. If Ostulu doesn't co-sign this, I'm not going to do it. You know, as far as his dreams are concerned, as far as even buying clothes. You know, Ostulu, like, do you like this shirt?
Sure.
Do you think this shirt is going to suit me? Ostulu, tomorrow I need to go and, you know, apply for school. You know, with each and everything that he does, you know, it should be co-signed by me, because that's the type of relationship that I share with him.
That's beautiful, yeah.
And not having to replace his mom.
Oh, yes.
And not having to disregard his mom. And not having to think that I am better than his mom.
Yeah.
You know, I am his second mom.
Yeah.
I know my role
as
far as his life is concerned.
Sure.
And I also recognize my boundaries, you know. And also with my second born, you know, my second born is 10 years old. You know, he knows oh mama, last. You know, they
knows.
know. You know, they even know how to you know, if we do this, for mama. You know, we know she'll be happy.
Yeah.
And if ever she catches us doing this, mama will not be happy. So it comes from a place of knowing each other. You know, because at the end of the day, remember I mentioned that we love children individually. I also love, you know, my children individually. You know, the discipline and the love is the same. But having to enforce things, it will always be different. Because with my elder son, he's soft. You know, with my second son, he's very smart, but he's very naughty, you know. And with my son, you know, my biological son, he's smart, you know, but he's also manipulative. So I need to know how I move with each one of them, you know. So if you haven't bonded with each and every one of them, this one will think you love this one more, and this one will think you are giving, you know, this one more love or more attention. But when you have shown them the level of the equal love, they also understand themselves from a place of uniqueness and individuality.
I get what you're saying. I want you to break it down like I'm a 10-year-old. We might have someone sitting out there saying, Hore, how do I start to create this bond that leads to how maybe Tsulu is doing her thing in a blended family? Because oftentimes we don't know where do I begin, the step by step.
Are you saying with regards to the relationship?
With regarding to creating the bond, the relationship between you and your stepsons. How did you come up with it?
You know, for me, I just had to be myself. You know, because having to meet them, I remember with my firstborn, we had to sit down with him and explain that, you know, I'm his father's partner, you know, I'm his new stepmommy, you know, and just explaining that the relationship, you know, that me and his dad share, you know, and we just took it from there. You know, with my older son, it was easier because his mom and his dad separated a long time ago. So it was never an issue of me being there to replace his mom, you know, based on, you know, the relationship that I share with his dad. So we did not even have to push hard for the relationship. You know, I was just being myself. I was present, you know. I gave myself to know the type of person that he is, you know, and then having to also be mindful of boundaries. Because remember, at that time, you don't know this child, you know. You don't know whether they like you or not. You don't even know whether you like them or not. Because sometimes stepmothers don't like their kids, you know. And then it does not come from a hateful place. You know, sometimes it also comes from a place of frustration, not knowing how to raise another woman's child, you know. So, but now I always say, when you have a receptive spirit, when you have a learning spirit, you will know how to accommodate these kids that are not yours. And I think what helped me the most was that my mom has always said that there's different types of mothers. And there's just bomme. And how we identify bomme is we identify them when they love children who are not them. When they are automatically there, you know, for kids.
Effortlessly so.
Effortlessly so. For kids who are not theirs, you know. And it can be an easy thing as reprimanding a neighbor's child. You know, you are taking on a head or a role of being a parent. Unlike having to say, this is not my child, you know, and this is not my business. My only concern is my kids. When my only concern or my only, you know, a role as a mom is, you know, subjected to banabaka. So for me, I would really say, just take it one step at a time. You know, with its dynamics, you know, with its changes, with its, you know, challenges. Just take it one step at a time.
Sure.
And just also validate your feelings, man, as a stepmom, because we don't validate our feelings. The society has wanted us, to be superheroes. The society has enforced on us to be present. But I always say, heal first before over present. Be yourself first before you can actually take on a role of being a stepmother. For me, it was a choice. It was not forced.
It feels better when it's a choice, and it feels I heavy, man. I get what you're saying. So indeed, one must heal first before taking on this role. You have mentioned an important thing, Yahore. Validate your feelings. And this is because your expectations will be too high, wanting someone to come clap hands for you. Thank you for raising my kids. Thank you for doing 1, 2, 3. And when you don't get those things that you're expecting, you kind of fall down and want to throw in the towel. So when you're now and again validating your feelings, or I'm not feeling like it's okay. I don't want to go to that parents' meeting and it's okay. And I can step in and step out. It is still okay. You have a choice as a stepmom. So validate those feelings. How do you find co-parenting?
I think for us, we are not co-parenting.
Sure.
And the reason why I say this, it's because the mothers are not involved.
Okay.
They are not involved. Coexisting with your child does not mean that you are involved in their lives. So I feel like with regards to my boys and their moms, they are just coexisting.
Sure.
With my older son, when I met his dad, from that time until now, I have been the
female figure
in his life, because I've never seen his mom go to parents' meetings. I've never witnessed his mom calling us as far as his report cards are concerned. I've never received a call from his mom as far as anything is concerned. It's actually the other way around. We are the ones that need to call her. I remember when he was doing his matric, we were the ones that needed to call, the lady to say, can you kindly please do an ID for him? Can you kindly please do, so forth for him? So they've, that on its own. It says a lot. So with my second born, because we don't stay with him permanently, he is in his maternal home.
Okay.
He is raised by his maternal grandmom.
Okay.
So the only female figure, it's his mother, his grandmother, and myself, present figures.
Okay.
His mother is there, but he's not involved actively, with regards to the child's well-being, with regards to the child's emotional needs, with regards to the child's physical needs, the grandmother is the one that is, actively involved. And it's really so sad,
It is.
because even when he comes to visit us, you can see the difference, as far as, the physical health, is involved. You can actually see that he's not well, taken care of, with everything that we do for the boys. We so you can't even find something that is new, maybe a clothes or an item, or a toy, that is bought by the mom, So even when we ask the boy, Nana, where's your mom? Like it's very normal for the child to tell you that they haven't seen their mom for like a while. And every time we take the child back home, it's an issue because now he knows that he's going into a different environment from us. And it's always so sad.
Yeah.
Because when having him around, we constantly need to overcompensate,
Yeah.
for the things that he doesn't have, of which at times it's also, it can also become a burden onto us because we always need to overextend our budget as far as this child is concerned.
Sure.
So it can be very, very, very heavy and very strenuous, as far as,
So is she working? The mother of the second boy, is she working?
No, she's not working.
Ooh, then that's the thing, because if you were to take the route, maintenance court, because I strongly believe that maintenance court is not based on gender, guys. It's not a thing that we should only take men. We must also take women who are not willing to take accountability financially.
And thank you for saying that, Solo, because I always advocate for men, and I always tell men, they never empower themselves, with regards to information relating to their kids.
Yeah.
They are not informed, as far as, their parental rights and responsibilities.
Yeah.
If you were to ask, for an example, your husband, to go to maintenance court, they will never even tell you the procedure. They don't even know where the offices are situated, and it's not, as a person I don't believe a person is like this.
Yeah.
Soul is like this. We need to let them be like this.
Yeah.
I believe in empowerment
and change.
I believe so much in empowerment and information sharing, because if we don't empower you with the right tools as a parent, as a mom or as a father, your behavior now is going to affect us, in ways that we didn't plan. So as far as, your question is involved, it's hard, man. It's really, really hard for us.
It will be hard to co-parent financially, but I think easier to get the kids, because most people will struggle with, my husband wants to see the kids, she does not want. So access to the kids is always there. It's a freedom. But then the financial part of it, that's when the co-parenting is challenging, because also you can't go as a step mom. Like, it's better when the biological parents say, and men are not willing to do that. Most men are not willing to take this woman to court. And it's said that oftentimes we're holding on to men who are not taking care of their kids. In the lion's den, and forgetting that there is women. There is women, a lot of women out there, baloring, they emotionally, financially torturing their own children. And I'm glad you took on that role and you look at it godly way. You are there to fill in the gap, and you're doing your best and you're giving it your all. Clearly, that's your all. So have you guys ever thought of taking in Manole, for an example, a bit closer to one parent? Like, I mean, he does not have both parents at this point. So I had to be parent love, kuku's love, granny's love, and I don't think it's enough.
It's not enough. We've tried so many times. I remember there was I think it was 2 years ago, I think a year ago or 2 years ago, when we tried, to take this child to stay with us.
Yeah.
So the mother agreed, he gave us the reports card to apply. He gave us the birth certificate. But came January,
things changed.
Yeah, things changed. She now did not want the child to come and stay with us. So we obviously cannot enforce it, on her. Yeah. But also I was telling my husband that we have institutions such as, the Department of Social Development, Child Welfare, that can
advocate.
That can assist us with such cases. But as we've said, men are not ready.
Yeah, no, they're not.
They're not ready to challenge. Or to take on their roles, man, as fathers,
and to fight.
Yeah. So it has been a dead end from since. But even though we have been, trying, to say, can we please stay with the child?
Yeah.
Because now my sons are very close. Very, 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 they are very close, We've never had to reprimand them for this one is not your mom or this one is not your dad. We've never, had to experience such things. So I really hope one day they'll open their hearts and that baby will come and stay with us.
Sure. I really hope that God indeed intervene and hopefully a permanent solution, because it is not a solution to let your child live with your mother if you are too busy and the other parent has all the time, where now you just don't want the other parent to live with that child. They rather be with their grandmother. That's not fair. I don't think also on the grandmother it's their responsibility. And knowing exactly, they can't structure that. They have raised us, now we have to raise our children so they can spoil their grandchildren. That's what my mother used to say. Well, I'm raising you to take care of your children so I can be able to spoil them. Sure. What do you think of maintenance court?
I think it is there for a reason,
Yeah.
And I think it is there to ease the burdens of people who don't want to take on their responsibility. And I also think it is there to empower, to say, but this is your child.
Yeah.
You need to be responsible in as much as you are there emotionally and physically, but you also need to be there monetarily.
Yeah.
Because a child is not only raised, on love, but they also need, other things for them to grow, and to fit, in our societies. So I think maintenance court is there for such reasons.
Yeah. And they should go. Should you need it, go fight. Go fight for those finances. So as a stepmom in a busy world, Johannesburg, Gauteng on its own, it's busy. Our families are busy because it's different DNA, different surnames, different Yonkin Lento, you can name them. How then do you find self-care? How do you take care of yourself so that you can always become or be the humble stepmother?
Tsolo, I struggle a lot, as far as self-care is concerned.
Yeah.
There are times where I don't even know how to take care of myself.
Yeah.
When I had my son in 2018, I struggled so much, to relate to the person that I was before my son.
Yeah.
And I completely lost myself. It was so bad that I couldn't even take care of myself physically, the way I look, and also my emotional needs, because everything was centered around my boy, So for me, I am still trying to find, it's 7 years later, but I am still trying to do the little things for myself, because remember when I had to now find myself 3 years later when my son is born, I also got married. So I also needed to adjust, to marriage, to being a wife, to being a magoti, to relating to other people that I don't know. So as far as self-care is concerned, I feel like I'm still struggling in that regard, and I'm still learning.
How do you find balancing or balance as yourself, as a stepmom, as a mother? Remember also, you being a stepmom, you must acknowledge the fact that you have a biological son that also needs your time and your attention accordingly. As a daughter, how do you find balance?
I think with recognizing each and every role that you play, or each and every role that you need to, or let me rather say, each and every role that you identify yourself as. Because remember, I have to take on a role as a mom, take on a role as a stepmom, take on a role as a professional at work.
Oh, yes.
Take on a role as of a daughter. And just being Tsholofelo myself, and just disengaging or disassociating myself with all of these roles
Yeah.
that society expects me to, you know, to play.
Yeah.
So when I take on the role of myself, Tsolo, you know, I do the things that Tsolo loves.
Yeah.
I do the things that Tsolo likes. You know, I go out with my friends.
Yeah.
You know, I can be in an hour's call, you know, with a friend venting over my
Yeah.
marriage
Yeah.
or venting over whatever issue, you know, that I face. So I think that is just how I try to balance out, you know, all the different caps that I wear as a woman and as a person.
Sure, and it's not easy because they are heavy, those caps. And Nakongwa, I don't know if you feel it at times. I would feel it at times more. I'm guilty, maybe I took too much time to myself. I could have done 1, 2, 3 for my husband, or I could have done 1, 2, 3 for my kids, for my stepkids. So it's not quite easy. I'm glad there is balance. It's what helps us move forward.
I also, you know, thank my husband for always reminding me of who I am. So with each and every time that I, you know, take on these roles, she'll be like, no, go out, you know, leave a little, you know, you are yourself before me. You are yourself before our marriage.
Oh, that's beautiful.
You are yourself before your family, you know. So even when I go out and would stay up until 12 a.m., I know that it is backed up by my husband's support, you know. My husband would get into a store and just say, no, why don't you buy yourself clothes?
Oh, that's nice.
You know, why don't you do a new hairstyle? Why don't you buy your favorite, you know, lipsticks? When my husband met me, you know me from high school, I always wore, you know, short skirts. And these are the things that he reminds me of myself. You know, he would say, no, just take that skirt a short and wear it. Remember, rough dance you love, you know. So it is such things, man, that really, really encourages me, you know, to balance.
Yeah, that's a nice support structure because it's what keeps you going. Like we're not 100% full at all times. There's a time where you're running on your 20%, and when you have such a supportive partner, much easier. I always say, Hore, you can't just step parent alone. You can't do it alone. You need that partner. You need the biological parent to hold your hands when it gets tough. That's what keeps us going in blended families. Molorombat will ask, how are you able? It's because there's someone next to me who is tapping me at the back.
And even our husbands, guys, it's very also important for them to recognize their roles, you know. In as much as we are step parents, they should also know that they are biological parents. They need to be present and be there and play their roles, you know. Because when these kids come over the weekend, they're not coming for me.
Oh yes, that's true.
You know, they are coming to see their father. You know, I am there to support
the father.
You know, so I think the one thing that I love about my husband is that he is able to bond with his kids. So every time our second born comes, he makes time. Like you will never find him going anywhere. He's there. He's present. He'll make food. You know, for him, he'll go outside with them to play soccer. You know, they will, you know, play the dance challenges. You know, he'll be there teaching them Ntotas Jita and you know all of these things and telling them how much he loves them. You know, that's one thing that I appreciate about him. So it does not burden me to be a stepmom. You know, or also having to recognize these mothers are not there. But because my husband is there, it does not burden me. Because it is as though we are raising our own kids.
Because he's playing his part.
Because he's playing his part.
What you're saying is very, very important, guys. It's very important because we have fathers that are not there. When this kids comes and they find me as a stepmother, I'm doing the job alone. Hence, nakongwe one is feeling exhausted and they don't like the role anymore. Like they are okay because now we have made it about the step parent. The biological parent is not there to do the work. The child, when they come to visit, guys, I'll say this. The child, when they come to visit, they basically, like you say, they're coming to visit their biological parent. It has nothing to do with the step parent. The step parent is there to make sure that the home it's warm and more welcoming with his or her presence. That's all that matters. Sure. So looking at me message for Wena.
Okay.
Please put this on for me.
Okay.
I have few.
Must I put on the headphones?
The headphones. I hope Diklo are clear enough and they're not gonna kind of mess your thingy. I'll start with.
I hope they don't make me cry.
No, they shouldn't.
Okay.
Hey Tsolo, keep up. I am sure you did not expect this recording, but I just want to say I'm proud of you and the woman you have become. It's funny how I still remember the day you were writing down your future plans and how well you executed them. By looking at your chart, there are only 2 goals still yet to achieve. You being the next Louis Madonsela and writing about a book about yourself. With all that being said, I'm proud to say I'm living my life through your shoes. What more would a father want? Go out there and be a shining light to us and to your family. Let's chaba ka moka. Re go rata rati rati.
Papa Rata sweetheart. He loves you. This man loves you. I could see him. All right. Let's listen to this other one. Okay.
Hi, Tsholofelo. Ke kgothatso. Ewa, itse se nna motho le bua mara today ne kwa tlo tsebe gore ka o rata and ke appreciate ntho tse kaofela tse re tseditseng tsone because le nna I can see gore we changed life aka like nkebe ke sa le yo mo ke leng today nkebe sa le ka wena so today ne kwa tla gore ko jwetse gore ka appreciate and ke appreciate ntho tse kaofela tse nke tseditseng tsone mo lifeng motivator o dule ntjwetsa gore go tlo loka ka di appreciate ntho tseo kaofela so ne kwa tlo jwetsa today gore ka leboga for tsohle tse nke tseditseng tsona mo bophelong and le nna ka o rata ke dula ko rata.
You've done a great job on yours. Don't take them off, is it?
Okay.
You have done a great job on your stepson. You just mentioned earlier or Auszulu, indeed. He said it. It's beautiful. It's very lovely. Okay, here's another one.
Hi, my love. I hope you're doing good, and I hope you're safe calling. My love, I may not say this every day, ne? But I just want to say this. You are the best. You are special. You mean the world to me. Mama, you've changed my life, and what you did, not everyone can do it, but few can do it. I just want to say with your standard or your level, I am so lucky. Your behavior, your integrity, Sheba. I'm so lucky indeed. Ke batla gore ko wena mama, I acknowledge everything in love. And I just want to say I love you for the person you are. You find me with 2 kids, mama. You loved them and became a one family. Nkilobana, untshotse le bana ba 3. You loved me with my kids. I also acknowledge that, mom. Or kopantshitse nna le my siblings Ka your age, no one does that. You humble yourself ko family yaka. My dad love you so much. Eish, may his soul rest in peace. My aunt also, may his soul rest in peace. Le ena na o rata gagolo. So o tlisitse a light mo bophelong ba ka le family yaka. I want to say to you, I give you so many thanks. Maabane nong leboga for go support-a ka di-issue tsa ko mosebetsing wa gago. I told you we are one, my love. So love, le nna I'm here to support you. Ke batla gore ko wena o masitšhaba Makgele, o kopantshitse ditšhaba mama. Modimo a be le wena ka nako tsotlhe. Amen.
Ho na le e nngwe hape.
Hi, Chubby. Morning. Good morning. Junior. And then I want to thank God for being your mother, a spiritual mother. And then I always thank God to see a character Modimo e aheha ka hare ho wena. Ke motho ya ratang kgotso, ya ratang ho loka, justice. And then you always fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. You love God. And then ke rata the way o etsang dintho ka teng. Always ha re bua le wena, you used to say, a se tsele ba ntlamele dintho di sale ka tsona, especially in crisis. O re naneng lentswe la Modimo le batla gore re etse dintho ka tsela e. Ke rata the way o phela bophelo ba hao ka teng now. You always put God first.
Yeah.
You are smart. Care. And then a Modimo a o hlonolofatsa ka dintho tsohle tse bang o batla ho di fitlhella. I used to call yourself girly, but now I called yourself junior, which is o masitšhaba ke re lena ke masitšhaba, senior and junior. You are a strong woman. You are a strong woman, baby girl. Go lakaletsa dintho tsohle tse ntle bophelong. Enjoy your day from your mom, Shabi. Bye.
She loves you, this woman. Yo, she loves you. I have a last one. It's not gonna be long. Then we're
Hi,
done.
Tulu. Yo, today I just want to take time and appreciate you, Uswak. I just wanted to let you know how much I'm so proud of you. Life hasn't always been easy for you, but you handle every challenge with so much strength and so much grace. I'm so proud of you. So proud of you. I've seen you struggle in so many ways. I've seen you doubt yourself, but most importantly, I've seen you rise above it all. And I'm here to tell you, Hore, ke teng for you. Ke teng for wena. No matter what life throws at you, I'm there for you. I'm sure you know that. I'm there for you. I'll be there every step of the way. Keep going, my sister. You are unstoppable. You are very so much unstoppable. I'll be there with you every step of the way. You are more than just a sibling to me, Tsholofelo, more than just a sibling. You've been my rock, you've been my confidant. And I love you so much. Don't ever forget that.
You can take off.
Okay.
It's beautiful knowing that there's women, Babareng, we've got your back. And when your sister said that, Kibile so emotional that I wish I had a sister. Some of the things, they are better when you have a sister. And the way she insisted, what I will always have your back. You are so blessed.
I am.
You are so blessed, and you are one powerful tool that I know now. Or you're so much powerful. And the plans that your dad mentioned, like they were quite big. Listening to them, I was like, was this person dreaming so big? But knowing your capabilities, I know whatever that you have planned, it shall come.
I also wanted to, just say a special message to my mom, because the woman that I am today is because of my mom. You know, that woman, we did not have a perfect relationship, but we had the best relationship.
Sure. So, Mamela, before Kotsena Komulomong, I want you to talk to her as she is looking. Address this message.
I refer to my mom as Mama Neo.
Yeah.
I'm the only person who Mobizang Jwalo.
Linna. When you introduce me, Mama Neo. Yeah.
So Mama Neo, ke a leboga, for your teachings. Ke lebogela lerato la gago. Ke lebogela the wisdom. With everything that I went through in my life, my mom has always said, "Oskafa satane matla." So that's a quote that I always live by.
That's beautiful.
My mom orata gore olla o tsamaya, a o le o dutse. So with everything, that I went through with my mom, I always tell people, gore guys, should anything happen to me and Gigena into an ICU or Gigena guy, please call my mom, because that's the only person that can resurrect me from the dead.
Sure.
So I truly appreciate that woman. I truly do. And I appreciate my dad for being a present father.
Yeah.
If you know me, you will know how much I love my dad and how much, my dad is my weakness.
Yeah.
So I truly appreciate, both my parents to have raised the person that I am today.
Sure. What message do you have to a lady out there who's having challenges that they don't believe ho tla feta? What can you say to them?
God has given us the spirit of bouncing back.
Yeah.
Each and every one of us.
Yeah.
We have the spirit, of bouncing back.
Yeah.
I often tell my clients, I'm a social worker by profession. And I always say to my clients, I cannot give you something that you don't have.
Yeah.
The fact that you have come for assistance, already that is a sign of a strength. Number one.
Yeah.
Secondly, it shows me, gore ke berekella modimo ga eng. So sometimes, remember earlier when we were having a conversation, we said faith goes hand in hand with doubt.
Yeah.
But it really depends on who you feed more.
Yeah.
So you just need to feed more on resilience and be able to see yourself as a person who has overcome. Because once you start seeing yourself as a failure, then you are saying your problem is bigger than yourself. You are also identifying your problem not as a season that you are passing, but you are identifying your problem as something that has taken control over your life.
Yeah.
So, Mudimu teng, God is there. If you are unable to do it, just invite the higher power, to give you the strength to overcome.
Sure. Then what advice would you have to someone who wanna begin this journey of blended family life? What are the tips?
I think, as I've said earlier on, it is very, very important to know an individual self, yourself, who you are, where you come from, where you are headed, what is your vision as far as your family is concerned.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that is just my advice.
Yeah.
Because I know with my husband, we come from two different worlds.
Yeah.
And we come from two different families.
Yeah.
But because he had a vision,
Yeah.
and I had a vision,
Yeah.
we came up with tools
Ooh.
that assisted us in building this family. So it is honestly based on yourself,
Yeah.
and the vision that you have.
Oh, that's beautiful. Lemokwile, Mrs. Makgele, Kim Masichaba, by the way. Are, it all depends on you, on yourself. Do you have a vision? Are sure. Ibeleji Habakkuk, I'm not sure what chapter, what verse exactly, but the book is Habakkuk 3, that you must have a vision. A man without a vision perish. So do have a vision when you embark on that journey. Thank you for making time, and thank you for this powerful wisdom. It is through our journey that we learn and regain our wisdom. It's on the journey that we gain wisdom. You don't just sleep and wake up and only this woman of faith, woman of God. It's through the journey. Thank you so much, Makgele. Makgele. This is how we will wrap up this episode. From me to you. See you on the next one.